The Silent Town's Forgotten Secret. Long ago, nestled far from bustling cities, was a town so small, so hidden, that only a handful of travelers ever stumbled upon it. It was a town veiled in silence, where every resident moved with a quiet purpose. There were no loud celebrations, no bustling market square, only soft whispers of stories passed down through generations. One misty autumn evening, a young traveler named Elara wandered into this silent town. She'd been exploring the countryside, chasing tales of forgotten places, and stumbled upon the town by pure accident. She noticed immediately how the air held a stillness, an otherworldly quiet that wrapped around her like a thick fog. Even the wind seemed to hush its usual chatter as she walked through the deserted streets. As she wandered, Elara felt a strange pull toward an old stone building that towered over the town square. Ivy snaked up its walls, and the windows were covered in a thick layer of dust, as if untouched for years. She glanced around, curious if anyone would tell her about the place, but the few people she saw looked away, as though fearing even her presence. When she asked about the building at a small inn, the innkeeper shook his head, eyes darting to the door, as if something unseen were listening. In a low whisper, he warned, "No one goes there, miss. Best to forget you ever saw it." But Elara's curiosity only grew. Late that night, unable to sleep, Elara slipped out of the inn and made her way back to the building. The town was bathed in moonlight, shadows stretching long and thin, and the silence was almost deafening. She pushed open the heavy wooden door, wincing as it creaked, breaking the stillness. The air inside was cold, thick with the scent of age and mystery. The floorboards groaned softly under her steps as she ventured deeper into the darkened space. In the heart of the building, Elara found an old, intricately carved chest covered in dust. She knelt beside it, tracing her fingers along the carvings, her touch stirring motes of dust into the air. Inside, she found a collection of faded letters bound by a thin, fraying ribbon. She untied the ribbon, her heart racing as she unfolded the first letter. The words were faded but legible, each one revealing a hidden story of the town, one that had been buried for decades. The letters spoke of a pact made long ago between the townspeople and a mysterious figure known only as the Keeper. The townsfolk had made an agreement, a vow of silence in exchange for protection and prosperity. But there was a price to be paid, a secret no one dared to speak of aloud. As Elara read, the candle flickered, casting shadows that seemed to dance across the room. She felt a chill prickling up her spine, as though the very walls were watching her. The letters hinted at something dark, a presence bound to the town, waiting, watching. It was a warning that anyone who spoke too much, who revealed too much, would face the Keeper's wrath. Her heart pounded as she read the final lines of the last letter. "Beware the silence that binds, for it is more than a vow. It is a curse." In that moment, the door behind her creaked open. She turned quickly, her breath catching in her throat. A figure stood there, half hidden in shadows, their face obscured by the dim light. The figure took a slow, measured step toward her, and Elara felt the weight of 1,000 silences settle upon her. The stranger's voice was barely a whisper, but it echoed in the silence, as if the building itself carried the sound. "You should not be here," they murmured. "The Keeper does not take kindly to those who break the silence." Frozen in place, Elara watched as the figure reached out, taking the letters from her hands, binding them again with the worn ribbon. As they held the letters, a strange, shimmering light surrounded them, as if the silence itself pulsed with life. The figure gave her one last look, a gaze that seemed to reach into her very soul. Without another word, they turned and disappeared back into the shadows, leaving her alone in the stillness. Elara stumbled out of the building, her mind racing with questions and a fear she couldn't shake. She left the town that night, feeling as though something unseen followed her, a shadow in her mind. The silence of the town echoed in her thoughts, lingering, haunting her. Years passed, and Elara never spoke of that night. But sometimes, when the world grew too quiet, she could still feel it. The weight of the silent town's forgotten secret, a story forever bound by a silence that could never be broken.
If you enjoyed this haunting journey on the midnight train, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Join us for more stories that will take you to the edge of mystery and beyond. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what's waiting in the shadows.